Hi, this is Ron Martinson of ronmartinblog.com, and I'm going to talk about the Sony a6300. I had reviewed the a6000 previously and really enjoyed it, so I was really excited to see this new model featuring 4K video. Now, to my left is a Fujifilm X Pro 2, and to my right is a Fujifilm XE2. So a little bit larger than the Sony, but roughly the same size. The X Pro 2, much larger camera. This has a 16 to 70 millimeter OSS lens, which is optical steady shot featured on this lens, whereas the X Pro 2 is featuring a 16 to 55 2.8, so f4 versus 2.8, pretty big difference. And I really only point that out just to show just physical size of this camera compared to a competing camera. Now, I'm going to just go over some real basics of this camera. First, let's go ahead and demonstrate that this has a pop-up flash. Just comes in handy in a pinch. There's the typical knob, which is nice and firm. You don't accidentally change this, which I really like. And you have your modes for video, pano, which works really, really well, scene, auto, and so on. And so you have some programmable buttons on here and on the back. And I actually reprogrammed this button to be my eye detection button, which is a fabulous feature. There's a really wonderful electronic viewfinder that's also sensitive to the eye being up close. And then on the side, it's just like its predecessors, where when you plug in your video cable, you'll see, your power cable, you'll see a little light up that shows that it's charging. So now we're going to do just a little simple demonstration. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is we're going to show that, currently the quality is raw, and I'm in burst mode. And I'm not going to do anything fancy, but I'm just going to point and let you listen to what burst mode is like. Okay, so the buffer filled up, maybe got one extra out of it. And while it's flushing to the buffer to the SD card, you'll see this red light up. Hopefully you can see that. And unfortunately, it's a fairly slow process. And so I'll use my little articulating screen here. Hopefully you can see this very well. That when I do play, you'll see that I got 23. Actually, it's 22, but I got one extra one in there. And so 22 for burst mode with raw, that's pretty reasonable performance. And just to also show you, there's the way you get to the SD card is from the bottom. Now, I much prefer to be able to change my cards from the sides and not have to get into the battery compartment or get mixed up with something that'll get in the way if I have any bracket mounted. But this is using a SDXC card, which is required if you want to do 4K video. If you try putting in anything less than a SDXC card, it will tell you that it will not allow you to record video, 4K video. So super important. So now, you'll see that there's no images. And this time, we'll go change the quality to extra fine. So this is just JPEG. Now let's do that test again. And once again, I got an extra shot out of it. And once again, we'll have to wait for this. And unfortunately, you can't touch the menu or do really anything. You just pretty much have to wait on the camera while it flushes its buffer to the SD card. It's pretty frustrating. So now that that's completed, I'll go ahead and tilt this so hopefully you can see it better. And it says 48. So 48 for JPEG and 22 for RAW. That's pretty impressive. So it's definitely especially for a camera at this price point, it's a really pretty good performer. And the autofocus works very well. Now what I'm going to try to do, if you can see it, this area here, I'm going to press the shutter halfway and you'll see there's a green box around the face. And if I hold my button here, you'll see that it found the eye. And so that's the eye autofocus. Works really, really well on moving subjects as well. Overall, I found this camera to be really great. The viewfinder was very good. The knobs are the same as previous Sony models. It's got a nice firm grip so it doesn't accidentally go out of place. And I can choose what my buttons here and here do. And I have a lot of control over this camera. I have a diopter to help adjust for my vision, so I don't need to wear my glasses when I go through there. And I look through the viewfinder. And so it's been a really great camera. Check out my full review, written review, for the rest of the information on this camera. Thank you for joining me.